Jordan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Taylor?
I'm good. I'm good. How's New York? You're in New York City. Where exactly in New York City are you? Remind me.
Yeah, so our office is located in Long Island City, which is in Queens. It's right across the river from Manhattan, and it's right next to Brooklyn as well. So it's kind of a nice location. I also live in Queens. I live in Astoria, which is the neighborhood just north of Long Island City.
Okay, okay. Are you a big fan of The King of Queens? Did you watch that show?
No, I
Do you
never
get asked
watched it,
that a
but
lot?
not really. My parents took my kids to the Ice King of Corona. And I know that that's like in the intro for King of Queens, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I think that's really like, when it comes to ice cream, that's where I'm like, oh, what are we talking about now?
yeah.
But that's probably one of my only like tidbits that I know about the show. When it comes to New York, I'm much more a Seinfeld fan.
Oh, I love Seinfeld. I love
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Yeah. So I think I was telling you that I drove to New York a couple of months ago. Did I tell you about that? And I
I don't
ended
think
up
so.
accidentally getting routed through Brooklyn. I was not supposed to have to go through the city by the GPS, but I missed a turn and I ended up in like 1.5, almost 2 hours of traffic in Brooklyn unexpectedly. So that
Yeah.
was for me living out in the mountains, like not a lot of traffic here going on. It was an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the traffic. You kind of always have to factor in anytime if you're driving somewhere, always add a lot of padding for traffic and parking. If you
Yeah.
don't know in advance the parking situation, you got to add like a half hour at least.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to park, but I can't imagine where I would have parked because nothing
Exactly.
seemed like you could park at anywhere. So, all right, so let's talk about Leadoff Studio. So you guys are a product, you're an industrial design firm. So you
Yeah.
help entrepreneurs, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and startups, people who have an idea for a physical good, a product, and they come to you and they say, I've got this idea, how do I actually make it? Like, how do I make this product? That's what you guys do.
Yeah. So the term is industrial design. That's the most specific and best way to describe it or label it. It literally means designing for an industry in a way like commercial design. I usually explain it to people. My simplest 101 explanation is it's architecture, but for everything else. Architects do the buildings, industrial designers can design anything else. Now, my other simple way of explaining it, Leadoff Studio, we design physical products for businesses to help them launch a new part of their business or launch a new business based around that physical product. Like you said, we do work with a ton of entrepreneurs. I'd say that's the majority of our clients. We also work with some established clients. We've done work with Nike and Walmart and Lululemon, but we've also helped a lot of really cool startups launch. And I would say Row is probably one of the more well-known ones because we worked with them really when Leadoff Studio was just starting out and they were starting out. But we've worked with so many since then. I would say the common thread with all of these, though, they have an expertise in their field. So with Row, they knew all about the pharmaceutical world. Um, with Lululemon, we were working on their line for Mirror. They knew all about at-home fitness. Um, we recently worked with a company called Babsy that launched a children's toothbrush. The
Hmm.
two founders are two pediatric dentists. They know everything about children's teeth and oral health. The thing that all of these have in common, they don't have the expertise of how to design and manufacture a physical product or physical good. So that's really where we come in. We partner with these companies to help them design this three-dimensional object that is going to help them capitalize on their business opportunity and really launch their business and start a real revenue stream.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, remind me what Row is. I like it's so
Sure.
familiar sounding. I can't remember what's their product line.
Right. So Row actually started as Roman, and Roman is still around, I believe. It's their Row is now their umbrella for a couple different brands. When Roman started, I think in 2017 or 18, they were and they were one of the first telehealth companies. So they were really
Right.
introducing this idea of
I
you
remember
talk
the
to a
name
doctor
Roman.
on your phone or you text with a doctor, and then all of a sudden a shipment. In their case, I think they were capitalizing on the expiring patents for Viagra or for erectile dysfunction medication, where that was becoming generic, and they were able to really deliver that at a much lower expense and really blow out the operation logistics of how to get that to a customer. But at the time, if medication just shows up at your front door and all you've done is text with a doctor, and you might feel like, should I actually put this in my mouth and swallow it? Like,
Mhm.
that's kind of weird. So we help them with their packaging design and what I would say is their onboarding experience for a new customer. And it's really the first time that when you get this package, it's the first time that you're physically interacting with the brand. I mean, you're not going into a pharmacy. You're not hand to hand receiving this from a pharmacist. You're opening a box. So we really looked at that as a moment to build trust between the company and their customer, and make people feel confident that, okay, this is real. This came from a real doctor. It's sealed properly. It has the proper warnings, but it's also simple enough that somebody can open it and get to it without having to mentally digest tons and tons of information, which that's something they're also solving for. It's just the experience that customers have or patients have of dealing with the medical system is so complex. So how can we simplify that and get people the solutions that they actually need?
Yeah, I now remember the Roman commercials. So, okay, I like, let's
They're
dig
everywhere.
into that. Yeah, yeah. But I also thinking about like, like, and there's a lot of those prescription, like, subscription for prescription companies now. You see like Hims, Hers a lot. You said that like building trust by the product packaging. So someone's opening a box and they want, I mean, I'd be like, I didn't go get this from the pharmacist. Oh, what really is this stuff? I even sometimes think about, I order a lot of supplements on like Amazon and stuff, like my vitamins and stuff. And even sometimes then, now a lot of them come with that trust, like verification QR code thing you can scan, which I like. But sometimes you are like, where did this really come from? And so, how did you build trust with a box, with like packaging? What kinds of things did you explore when you're working with your client to say, like, this is what we need to put on the packaging? This is how we build trust through product packaging.
Yeah. So this was actually a super interesting project, and actually it was one of our first projects. The founders came to us before they hired any full-time employees, and they were just launching this, and you know they didn't even put it in terms of build trust. That was kind of how we assessed the project. Like, okay, if we're in the customer's shoes, what are the emotions going through their head as they're ordering this medication? What are the thoughts and feelings when they actually get it? And we really looked at their core customer of really targeting men in their 30s and 40s, but I think they're also getting a lot of men who are probably skewing a little older as well, just because of what the medication is. I think by appealing to the younger end of that spectrum, they're actually getting the older end of that spectrum. And I think that was totally
Mm.
intentional on their end. Um,
Fathers and sons, like
yeah,
maybe the son is like, hey, this is fine, dad. Like, I don't know.
and actually, no, it's interesting you say fathers and
I'm
sons. That
assuming a
was
lot here about that, but yeah.
not, not in the sharing sense, but in the identity sense. That was actually their first marketing campaign was Roman is for fathers, sons, husbands, uncles, nephews. Like it's just people who are normal people. And a part of their campaign was just destigmatizing erectile dysfunction as well. They're really trying to get away from like the 90s and early 2000s of like an old guy partying on the beach with like young
Yeah.
women kind of vibe. Like that is not the vibe they're going for. This is like a real disorder, and it can actually be. I think their campaigns called it a check engine light. Like if this is
Uh,
happening to you, it could actually be a sign that there's bigger issues at play here.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, anyway, the way that we designed the box was trying to kind of tap into the voice of what their brand was doing at the time. It's not this like Mountain Dew X Games version of like gnarly manliness. It's this like everyman's like just a guy in his garage who has a family kind of person, just everyday person. So we looked at we ultimately pulled some inspiration from a chef's knife roll or like a tool roll that like a carpenter might have, something that like unwraps. So it has this really clean feel when it's closed and a very inconspicuous feel when it's closed as well. I always had the scenario of, your 8-year-old nephew is at your house and they're just running around going through all your stuff. You don't want them to get to this and like think that they should open it. So when it's closed, it should feel really subtle. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
open it, it should still feel really simple and organized and kind of walk you through the journey. So it unwraps as this package where it has 4 panels. The first one is just welcome to Row, like thank you for taking
Mm-hmm.
care of yourself and being proactive. Uh, the next one is like a little envelope that has all of the technical information on the inside, but the outside of it is very clean in a way to not overwhelm people. They can
Mm-hmm.
go into the envelope and get all that extra information if they need, but they don't have to. The next panel has a prescription label that is it's clean, it's easy to read, but it is a real prescription label applied by the pharmacist. And then the last part of it is the actual box holding the medication. And that actually has a seal that's stuck on that the user has to peel off. But the pharmacist is the last person to touch this box. So the pharmacist puts that seal on that box as a way to signal to the consumer, nobody has touched this box except for the pharmacist. The pharmacist packed this and put it in here. So it's just a way to kind of cue, like, here's your journey left to right. And it's a very easy, like, I always say people don't really read these things. It's more of like, can they absorb it really quickly? So even the prescription label says your doctor's name, says your name. It's very simple. The typography and hierarchy of everything is designed in a way that the most important stuff is right up front so you can absorb it. And then you get to the end and you have to peel that label off in order to get to the medication. And that's kind of the last like seal of approval there.
Yeah, I love that. It's a really good story, a really good example of how you have to think about all of these different things that go through somebody's mind when they are purchasing a product and or using a product. And so it's brands like pulling, like where I always talk about like pulling the customer into the story or the donor into the story or whoever your audience is into the story. And this is sort of a way of like you're really thinking about the psychology of what they're going through with this as they purchase this product, especially in something that's more of a sensitive nature like that, where people might feel embarrassed. And so it's like you're recognizing that. You're recognizing, hey, like we want this to be clean, simple, not obvious if you open it up in front of your child or something like that. And then also, I love that last bit about it's like clear communication. I'm a really big fan of Brene Brown's just simple line of clear as kind. And I think about that so much in marketing and in design too. And like how that clarity is so important. And you're being kind to the customer by being like, the last person that touched this was the pharmacist. And that builds that trust. So it's like all these little details in something that's a 30-second open the box, process it all. But there's so much detail that goes into thinking about design of goods and products. And I love that example.
It's so true. And honestly, the way that a user absorbs this is so subconscious But it's these little tiny subconscious moments that all add up to the impression of the brand. And with Row, they were just starting out. Nobody was ordering medication on their phone. It was really weird. It was this totally different thing. So it was so critical that all of these little moments add up in a way that's going to get people to say, okay, this was actually easy. This actually really helped and impacted my life. And I felt comfortable the whole time. So yeah, let me subscribe and get this recurring order, which that's how Row really was able to build up. And I mean, the last time I saw their valuation, it's somewhere in the billions, and they've got Serena
Wow.
Williams and Charles Barkley signed up as sponsors. Like it's, yeah, they're doing
That's
all right.
amazing.
So yeah,
Yeah.
some really
Hey,
cool
that's so
marketing.
cool. You were at the beginning of that. So, by the way, I love that you have a Yorkie on your coffee mug. So for people listening that aren't watching this, I'm a big fan of dogs.
I
As
found this
a
at like a thrift
you
store
have
in
a
the
Yorkie?
Poconos. It, I don't have a dog right now, but I had
Oh, okay.
a couple
It
dogs
looks
growing up. I want to get a dog at some point. Yeah,
it looks like a Yorkie. I don't know. When I was this is going off
it
on a
is.
tangent, but when I was
Cool.
younger, Yorkshire
Yorkshire
Terrier. Yeah, it
Terrier
is.
about it on the
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
I don't know, I was probably in second grade or something, and you had to check out a library book every week at school. And
Mhm.
I literally got the same one every week for like 2 months straight. And it was all about dog breeds, every single dog breed. And I read that thing front and back, and I knew everything about every single dog breed.
All right, so when I'm ready to get a dog, I'm gonna come back and consult with you.
Just ask me, I'm going to go back into the ethers of my memory and try to remember, but I might know a thing or two for you.
That's awesome.
So let's back up. Let's talk about how you got into product design. How did you start this company? Like, were you the kid out in the garage tooling around with building things and creating physical things? Like, how did you get into physical good design?
So I mean, growing up, I think that's like a common story for industrial designers, and I will say I was the kid on the computer who was like making posters and CD covers, and like I was all about like making mixtapes or mix CDs, so putting stickers on those and trying to label them and brand them. I was 100% graphic design. And when I went to college, I went to a school called Carnegie Mellon University. Their program is a design program, and they put the communication design, which is their word for graphic design, and the industrial design in the same class freshman year. So you just come in as design. I was 100% doesn't even cover it. I was so sure I was going to be a graphic designer, and just that was my dream. That freshman year, they really exposed us to both graphic design and industrial design. And every time we did a graphic design project, I was like, this is not fun. I don't like it. Every time we did an industrial design project, it like scratched this itch that I didn't know that I even had. The ability to do 3D problem solving was like this whole new cool thing that I guess I probably was doing it a lot growing up and just not even realizing it. But kind of organizing that thought uh, for me by putting that curriculum together. I think by the end of that freshman year, when we had to declare a major, I was like, wow, I can't believe this, but I'm going to go ID. I'm giving up the graphic part. I'm doing ID. I'm going all the way. Um, and then from there, I graduated. I was like 100% sure I want to be a footwear designer. I actually got my first job at a company called Stephen Barry's that was famous for doing these $20 basketball like on-court shoes that Stephon Marbury, who I think at the time was on the Knicks, but he's an all-star in the NBA for many years, and he's from New York. He's from Brooklyn, Coney Island, and he sponsored the Starberry shoe that they had, and that really put them on the map. And they were expanding. I got to do some shoes for Venus Williams and a few other celebrity lines that they were doing, but uh, Well, honestly, I got laid off after 6 months. They went bust very quickly.
Mm.
The $20 shoe model didn't really work, I guess.
I was
Um,
thinking that seems like that could be hard. Yeah.
I think it was. I think they were going on razor thin margins and trying
Yeah.
to expand too fast. I got another job in footwear design, and between those two jobs, I did a internship at an industrial design studio. And when I compared those three experiences, the industrial design studio was hands down the one that felt the most comfortable and the most like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. Unfortunately, I was not good enough to get a full time job there, like not even close. So they didn't offer me one. I was able to eventually get a little bit of freelance work. I quit the footwear design job just based on like, it's probably like 5 hours of freelance work a week, and then kind of just started to build from there. Eventually, I got a job at a place called Quirky that was a startup that was doing invention submissions by everyday people. They were kind of weaving together a couple trends happening at the time, crowdsourcing being one of them. They came out at the same time as Kickstarter. Also, just community building online. They had a really active message board of all these people that were into inventing and design. And Quirky had this pipeline where they would select a new invention to put into their design feed every week. So we were getting tons and tons of work. It was like, I mean, it was like grad school on steroids working there. And because it was a startup, it just gave me the room to step in and do tons and tons of work. I grew super fast, honed my skills super fast, became a lead designer or senior designer after about 1 year. They sent me to China a bunch of times to work with factories. All in all, I worked there for 3 years and probably designed over 60 products. I think 20 of them like actually got put into market and were sold in stores. So it was just crazy, crazy learning experience. And that's probably the experience that I take the most out of in terms of running Leadoff Studio and how we operate there, operate here. Not that we're doing the crazy quantity, but just the all the different skills that I learned there, I put together and use that to run Leadoff. After I worked at Quirky, I bounced around a lot and did a lot of freelance work on my own as well. And the freelance work, working directly with the clients, was what really spoke to me the most.
Mm.
And um, I did take a couple full-time jobs during that time. Got laid off from the last one that I ever worked at, and that was about like 2 or 3 weeks before my first kid was born. So it was a crazy time, and I
Wow.
just felt like, okay, I can't. My daughter is about to be born. I can't go back to another startup. I can't go back to that risk. Let me bet on myself and let me try this for real. It's not just going to be freelance. Let me really try to make this into a business and start it up. And that was almost 10 years ago. So
Oh,
doing all right.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a journey. I love that. It's got to be really cool to see things that you just I know I feel this, but everything I'm really working in is more in the digital space. So like I'm in the graphic design part of it. But it's so cool when you see something come to life. But I can imagine, I don't just, I know nothing about what you do, and it fascinates me. I can just imagine like designing a product and then seeing it in stores on shelves. How cool that is to see something come to life and how impactful it is when you think about, especially if you're working with people like the dentist, that, pediatric dentists have an idea for a better toothbrush. They come to you, you help them make it, and then they start seeing it on shelves. That's got to be really fun.
Can I tell you the best part of that one? Because that one got released about like 3 months ago. So now we're
And
really starting to.
what's it called
What's that?
again?
It's called
What's it called again?
Batsy.
Bapsy?
Batsy. B
Okay.
A B S Y.
Okay.
So they're starting to see a little momentum, which is super exciting. I mean, I know that this is going to hit. We've all kind of known it all along because every time we're playing with prototypes here, the adults get excited.
Yeah.
I brought home some like just plain white 3D prints, no graphics on it or anything. And my kids, I brought it home so I could see if my kids, my 3-year-old son, he was 3 at the time, if he had the dexterity to put it together.
Yeah.
What I found was that my son and my daughter were fighting over these parts, and they're not the type of siblings who are fighting all the time. So the fact that they were
Yeah.
fighting
And
over
a
these plain
toothbrush.
white 3D print toothbrush, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I think we have a hit. Like this is going to
I
be
can't
a
find
cool
it.
product.
I'm Googling it. How do I find it? I'm going
Uh,
to the wrong website. Everything I'm
do
looking for pulls
brush.
up
It's
baby toothbrush.
so I'll their website is brushbabsy.com.
Okay. We'll put
Or
it
you
in the
could check
show
it out
notes too.
on Leadoff Studio's website, leadoffstudio.com/build-a-brush and
Oh,
leadoffstudio.com/Babsy.
build your
Um,
brush. Hey,
yeah,
this is cool. So I can see how kids would have really like it's like build a bear, but build your brush, and then
yeah,
it makes it fun to like have your toothbrush that you custom made.
yeah. In
That's
terms of
really cool.
like what you were asking about seeing on shelves, I will say this one has been so rewarding because Babsy posts these videos that people send them onto their Instagram. And so
Yeah.
we actually get to watch kids unboxing Babsy, like not like a YouTuber unboxing it and giving their thoughts. There's like real kids,
Yeah.
and it's like a toothbrush, but they're opening it as if it's like a birthday present, and it's
Yeah.
awesome because that's
That's
really the
cool.
whole point of the product. And Babsy came to us, Dante and Zach, the two dentists. What they said to us was, parents ask us every day, what toothbrush should I buy my kid? And the answer that always surprised the parents was just get them whatever toothbrush will get them to brush their teeth. You don't need to get
Right.
them like sonic vibration, whatever. You don't need an
Yeah.
app. You don't need any tech. You just really need your kids to brush their teeth more often and for longer. And so
Hmm.
their idea was let's create something that the kids put together. And through our design process of, coming up with tons of ideas, presenting them some of those, then narrowing it down to some, and we prototype and render some of those ideas. And we actually like sit there and play with the prototypes. Like I said, I gave it to my kids to play with to test out. I know the dentist, they gave it to their kids to test out. We help narrow it down to one idea, and then we refine until it's ready to get manufactured. And then we help our
That's
clients
really cool.
manufacture it as well. Yeah.
I have someone who I want to send one of these to now. This is really cool. Yeah, yeah. I like that. Simple. Just like what will a kid use? Like just brush your teeth, it doesn't have to be complicated.
And it's
But this makes
honestly,
them want to like feel proud about their toothbrush.
it's another one where it's all about the subconscious details of it
Yeah.
of when you're using it. So for a kid, they're constantly trying to figure out, well, what's my identity? Who am I? What do I like?
Yeah.
So with Babsy, we designed all these different parts that they can combine together. It's basically we call them bits. So
Hmm.
I'll explain for the listening audience. There's a rod on the inside of this construction. The kids start with a rod. They twist the brush onto the top, and then there's room for 3 or 4 of these bits to get twisted onto the rod. It's a threaded rod, so it's really easy to use. We designed it really inspired by like cognitive building toys that kids use when they're toddlers, purposefully, so it's easy to put it together because if kids can put it together, they'll take it apart and put it together again, and take it apart and put it together again. And it helps build their
Hmm.
confidence each time that they do that. And they get really comfortable using it and get really interested in using it and really proud of the fact that they built it. And the other part of figuring out who am I, what's my identity, they're always changing what they like, they're always changing what they're into. So Babsy comes with this whole set of all these different bits that they can take on and take off and switch out and trade with their siblings. There's all these options. So, we kind of always talk about my son in this way. Like, at first he really liked the dinosaur feet bit, but now that's a little too baby for him. And now he wants like
Hmm.
the alien video game bit. So he just like swaps out these different things as he goes, but it's still his toothbrush. And as a
Yeah.
parent, I love it because we're not throwing out a whole like plastic and rubber toothbrush, or we're not throwing out an electric toothbrush every time he decides, oh, I don't like this anymore. I don't like that
Yeah.
anymore, which is what we were doing before. And I think
Uh-oh, I lost you. Oh, you came back. No, it's okay. You said, which is what we were doing before.
I was just saying with Babsy, you can swap out these parts and you can swap out just the brush head as well. So this way, as a parent, I really like that because I
Ah,
hate throwing out the entire toothbrush just because, my son doesn't like Ninja Turtles anymore. So he won't use his Ninja Turtle toothbrush. And we bought him
yeah.
this Ninja Turtle electric toothbrush, but now he won't brush his teeth because it has a Ninja Turtle on it.
Kids. No.
And he just decides that. Now he likes Ghostbusters. Now he doesn't like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
I love Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, so
I
no
mean,
no shade thrown at
who
those guys.
doesn't? Yeah. Yeah.
My
Who?
son.
I think we're about the same age. They were of our time. No, it's really cool. I like how you can buy I'm looking at the website, how you can buy all these expansion packs. And so what's interesting about this is as y'all are designing this, you're thinking through all these different use cases and like exactly what you're talking about. Kids get tired of their toothbrush. I don't want to have to throw away the head and like get a whole new thing. Let's just have a replaceable head. If they want a new design, they're into something different. You can buy these expansion packs and they have all these different types of designs and characters. And this is really fun. And again, it's like thinking about the audience, the kid. The kid is the audience, and I mean, the parent wants to buy something for their kid, but it sounds a lot like this is buyer behavior is heavily influenced by the kid, and then the parent wanting to get behind something that the kid will use.
I mean,
Smart.
if I can get 10 minutes of my day in the morning and night back because I'm not chasing my kids around trying to get them to brush their teeth, and yeah, 10 minutes just to do something that honestly they'll only do it for like 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
huge. That's huge. That's
it
like
is.
one less stress in the morning and at night. I think that's really the buy-in from parents. Like, oh, my kid's actually using this, and I don't have to chase them down or make them do it. That's really where the power is.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we've gone in some interesting directions today. We've talked about a row and getting started with a prescription, online prescription pharmacy for ED. Wasn't expecting to talk about that. Talked about how you got into this, and now we're talking about kids' toothbrush is being designed. I want to do something fun on last 10 minutes or so.
Sure.
So this is kind of can we do something kind of funny? I want to talk about what it would be like to let's make believe that I have an idea for a product and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, this is my great idea. How do we build it from start to finish? And this is the funny part. So my husband and I like to like laugh about ridiculous products that we could invent that just like don't even do anything, but they're just
I love
funny sounding. And one of the ones that he came up with is a bean polisher. So like
it. Okay.
I like to buy like just like the beans in the bags, not like the canned stuff, but like then you soak them and you make them and everything like that. But what if you could polish your beans? What if this was something people actually cared about and would buy the bean polisher? I want to design a bean polisher, Jordan. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I think this is going to make millions and get me on Shark Tank and do all of the things. Like, what would be our first step together in working on developing the bean polisher?
Wow. That's cool. Uh,
We come up with a lot of dumb ideas like that. We say the
that's
dumber the better.
awesome. I have a book that I need to send you. Behind me is my bookshelf. We have there's a there's like kind of a subculture of like products like that in Japan. In Japan, it's like a thing where
Uh-huh.
people come up with like ridiculous products that just over designed, over engineered products to just do like the simplest thing that like you don't actually
Yeah,
need a product for. So
you don't.
I'll have to send
I,
you that
I want
after this.
shiny beans before I want my beans
All
to
right,
shine before I soak them, okay?
so for a bean shining product, I think we will want to understand first, like, who is your customer? Who are you actually trying to create this product for? So totally understand the problem. Your beans aren't shiny, right? Solution, let's figure out how to get there, but we need to know, who are we solving this for? How much do you kind of know about the problem? Are they shining beans in their kitchen? Are they shining them somewhere else in their house? Maybe they get shined at the grocery store and this is more of a commercial product instead of a
Mm.
at-home product. But we'll kind of want to know how much you know or how much you're kind of planning for your business. I mean, this is the thing. When somebody comes to us with a product idea, one of the most important parts of my vetting process is making sure that somebody is thinking about starting a business that is going to last for a long time. Because I
Mm.
know that we are one of the first pieces of that puzzle, but I don't want to design something for somebody that they're going to spend all this money with us and then not be able to recoup that and
Yeah.
make more money off of that investment. We want people to be able to start a business. So we really want to understand what are all the business aspects of the bean shining business. But then, okay, so let's say you answer all of those questions flawlessly. I would say, okay, let's schedule a kickoff meeting. We're going to kick off the project. So, Taylor, you would probably come into our studio if you're in the New York area, or sometimes we do this over Zoom, but we'd like to have a meeting with you and the entire design team here where you kind of talk through the who, what, where, when, why of your product,
Mm.
and really just tell us all the research and all the work that you've done already. I always like doing this because I think it's important for the design team to actually meet the founders, actually understand the emotional journey that you've been on to get to this point so far, because it really is an
Mhm.
emotional journey. Uh,
Mhm.
and then it's also good for you, the founder, to understand, well, who's actually working on my product. Like, we're not like a faceless corporation. We're a room full of
Yeah.
people who are really passionate about design, really passionate about helping people, just really passionate about making great things. Okay, so kickoff meeting goes well. The team over here, then, we kind of take a couple weeks. We do internal brainstorming. We might go out shopping. Sometimes we buy things. Sometimes we're just browsing, but really do all these things to feed our minds to understand, like,
Mhm.
okay, where can we pull ideas for bean shining? Maybe we look at shoe shining.
Mhm.
Maybe we look at, car washes. Maybe we look at other tools for vegetables. Maybe we're going to Sur La
Yeah.
Table and going through all the different kitchen gadgets there, right? Doing
Yeah.
all that. And what I like to encourage people to do is just take a little bit of paper with you when you do that and just like doodle down a couple ideas. This way, when you come
Mhm.
back to the studio, now you can make those ideas a little larger, and then I always kind of throw out the number. Let's get 50 ideas on the wall. And these ideas don't all
Mm.
have to be great, but we need to get a lot of ideas in order to have a bunch of good ideas.
Mhm.
Ultimately,
Mhm.
we're working towards refining those enough where we could show you 10 or so different ways that your bean shining business based around your bean shining product could go. And we're
Is it
usually
only like
present.
on the computer, or do you start doing like little 3D modeling, like little like prototypes and stuff?
So in this first phase, because I like to show you 10 different ideas, what we usually do is just hand sketch them. We do a
Mm.
lot of pen and marker sketching. It's a really fast way to show you and visualize for you, the client, what your business could look like with this product. And by visualizing the product, it helps you in your head think about, okay, if I did this type of product, this is how I could take my business. Or if I did
Mm.
that type of product, maybe my business would look like this. Maybe it would be more about the bean production they're getting shined. Maybe this one's like just
Mhm.
at home, somebody's shining, a small amount of beans. Maybe it's one bean at a time. There's all different ways you could solve this problem, right? So we want you to start to visualize that with the 10 ideas. And I just kind of use 10 as a round number.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but the hand sketches also make it so now you're pulled into the process, right? If we showed you a 3D rendering, it feels very final, it feels very polished and finished.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always, as the client, especially one who might not be familiar with design, you might not be comfortable telling us, hey, this is no good. Or what we really want is, I like this, but let's change this. Let's modify it this way or that way. The sketches really pull people into the process by showing you something that is purposefully not fully polished. It's not a fully baked idea at this point. We want our clients to come in and lend their expertise. I mean, in this scenario, you're probably a bean expert that's coming in
I
with
I
this business
am.
opportunity.
I will
I
tell you I am. No.
Yeah. And while I'm sure we all enjoy beans here, we don't have the expertise that's as deep as yours. So we
Got good
want you to come
fiber.
in. We want you to come in and lend that expertise to the process. And that's how we kind of collaborate. Now, then
Cool.
from there, ultimately, we're asking you to pick 3 of those ideas. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Again, round numbers here. But we'll actually take that and now we'll start to bring them into the computer and make 3D models. We'll do 3D rendering. And we'll also actually make prototypes. So sometimes that's 3D printed prototypes. Sometimes it's just prototypes that are made in our modest, small New York City wood shop over here,
Mm,
which honestly barely uses wood. A lot of times we just make like quick cardboard mock-ups or foam core mock-ups, but those are
mm,
really powerful because it actually puts the design for the first time on the table in front of you, the client. Now you can see the actual scale of your
mm,
invention idea. You can hold it. You can actually step through the motions of trying to use it, whether it works or whether you're pretending, but we can actually act out that user experience. And
mm,
then the renderings paired with that help give the vision of where this is going. Now, from there, we ask that you will pick one because now we need to really focus this in. And
mm-hmm.
that's where we really go in and refine, refine, refine. We'll do all the refinement, we'll do all the engineering work, we'll get this ready for manufacturing. And then once you sign off, then we'll start sourcing manufacturers for you. We'll lead that whole process if you need to, basically up until this thing is ready for production. And we say, Taylor, it's ready. You
Yeah.
got to press the green button to go on production. And then
So I can continue to be like the bean visionary and I don't have to know all this stuff. You guys pull me
exactly.
along. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the
We're driving
dentists
this
are still
process forward.
dentists. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They
Very cool.
have learned a lot about the product design process along the
I
way.
bet.
But I mean, you can even they've left us some very nice reviews. You can see they will still
Yeah.
be working with us because they also have seen through the process just how difficult the product development process can be. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're experts in dentistry. They're experts in oral health and how to, treat children with their oral health issues.
Yeah.
They can't be experts in product design as well, just like I'm not a dentist, So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
important to find the right collaborators, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fascinating. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you get used to doing something, and you sometimes forget that maybe what you do is fascinating to other people. And so I love meeting someone who's in design, but in a completely different type of design and like brand building than what we do, because like I can think about websites all day long and like logos and brand identity, but when it comes to thinking about like what you do, I'm like, God, you like took this idea and then like made this thing that I hold in my hand and I use and I work and it works. And like that to me is like, it's almost hard to wrap my head around, you know?
Yeah, it's always fun when our clients are actually designers as well.
Yeah.
I'll shout out one of our clients, Wolf Gordon. They're awesome, like textile design company, uh, and they've brought us in to be essentially their 3D design team. Anytime they need three-dimensional design, that they work with us. So it's really
Cool.
cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have a real product idea. Actually, maybe I'll talk to you about sometime. And it's not the bean polisher. That
Oh,
one.
no.
I'm not so sure
We
we've
made
got a
so much,
market for.
well, we made
I
so
don't
much
really.
progress today.
Yeah, I don't really know what the market is in bean polishing, but you never know. It's a weird world. It could come around sometime. Jordan, what do you want people to know about you? How can people find you? And how can they get in touch with Leadoff Studio if they have an idea for a physical good?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram at Leadoff Studio. Go to our website, leadoffstudio.com. There's a form fill on our website. You can always reach out. That goes directly to me, or you can reach out info@leadoffstudio.com. Email me. Um, yeah, that's the best way. That's how a lot of people get in touch with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I like that you're a boutique enough experience where people can talk directly to you and you can help them solve their problems. And I seriously do have an idea for something that I've got a lot of passion around. So I might
Okay.
come back around to that sometime with you, my
Also,
friend.
that's what I love about my job is getting to work with people who are passionate about their subject matter. The dentists, they're
Yeah.
passionate about dentistry. We're working with some people right now who are just super passionate golfers doing a
Mm.
really cool golf product. I mean, we get to work with people who are passionate about all different things, and it's really cool to help them with their journey to bring a product to life. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show and for spending some time with me today. I hope this was helpful. If you've ever thought about a product idea, maybe something as good, I know not quite as good, it's going to be hard to be as good as the bean polisher. But if you have a product idea and you really have a legitimate business idea, I definitely suggest you reach out to Jordan and Leadoff Studio. And until next time, my friends, go get all your good shizzle done.